Welcome to I May Be Wrong.
I don't know what this world is coming to.
But I don't think so. We're broadcasting from the greater Nashville area, the home of country music, beyond the borders of political correctness and identity politics. Facts and faith are our demarcations. Truth lights our path.
Here's the Barry White of Podcast Radio,
the Venerable Alfonso Ashworth.
Well, welcome to another exciting episode of I May Be Wrong, but I don't think so. Of course, we got a great program lined up for you there. This episode, I wish the show was an hour. We're working on that. Of course, we're glad to be back in. If you have comments, if you want to make comments on Facebook, please do so. I will try to get you in. I'll see your comments. And if you got questions during the show, please do so that as well. We also broadcasting live on YouTube. If you're on YouTube, welcome. Of course, if you're not on YouTube and if you're not on Facebook, you can always find the show on I May Be Wrong, but I don't think so.com. Of course, we started this show almost a year ago. Prior to that, I was a guest host on a radio program called Line Chasers Radio with Lonnie Poindexter. And, of course, Lonnie has been on my show from time to time. Please get this message out there. These shows are they're under attack. The shows that I'm doing, it's getting harder and harder to get the shows out there. YouTube is removing shows that they don't agree with. They're shutting down messages that they don't agree with, especially the messages about the virus, which we're going to get into in just a minute. Of course, this is my day to rant, and I plan on doing so fully, and I plan on doing so all the way to the end of the program. So hang with me. If you got something, like I said, if you want to type something, if you want to ask the question, make a comment, you can do so on Facebook. Share the program. We have a lot to say in terms of what's going on with this coronavirus. If you were fooled by the virus, shame on you, especially if you were fooled the second time around. Now, I'm going to play a video, and I'm giving people time to chime in because I don't want you to miss this video. It was very difficult to find the video in the first place. It's very hard to find some of this material because they are scrubbing the internet of videos that people like former President Barack Obama. A lot of the videos that were once easy to find, they're harder and harder to find. Matter of fact, if you Google, the search engine for Google is a mess. If you Google anything about President Trump, or if you Google anything negative about the Democratic Party, instead of you getting anything about the Democrats, you get mostly negative stories about Trump. Try it sometime. Go to Google and Google something about Nancy Pelosi or something about the Democratic Party and Google it and say something that they were against. You're going to get mostly information negative about Trump. And then, to prove my point, download a browser called DuckDuckGo. And that browser will give you more accurate information about what you're searching for. Plus, you don't get all the ads and all the garbage. Of course, we got a lot happening. As I said before, we welcome you to the program. This is I May Be Wrong, but I don't think so. Thank you. If you're out there, if you're a contributor and you're contributing to the show, thank you. Thank you. If you're someone you would like to be a contributor, if you would like to be a sponsor, if you would like to be someone that wants to come on the show, please contact me through my website at I May Be Wrong, but I don't think so.com. You can contact me there, or you can contact me on Facebook. Just look up Al Ashworth right here. Look up Ashworth. Also, you can find me at I May Be Wrong, but I don't think so. Look, this did not start with President Trump taking office. This started when President Trump put his hat, so to speak, in the ring to run. And when he became more popular, they had to start having a plan B just in case he accidentally won. Just in case he won that election, the powers to be had to have a plan or an insurance policy, as they called it, in order to make sure that if President Trump or Donald J. Trump happened to win, that somehow they would be able to cripple or control him. And this is where we have a problem. I'm going to play a video, and I want you to check this out. Some of you may not remember this video. Some of you may remember it in the past. But check this video out, and we're going to see what we have to say about this.
Given the increasing diversity of America's populations, the dangers of sectarianism are greater than ever. Whatever we once were, we are no longer a Christian nation, at least not just. We are also a Jewish nation, a Muslim nation, and a Buddhist nation, and a Hindu nation, and a nation of non-believers. And even if we did have only Christians in our midst, if we expelled every non-Christian from the United States of America, whose Christianity would we teach in the schools? Would it be James Dobson's or Al Sharps's? Which passages of Scripture should guide our public policy? Should we go with Leviticus, which suggests slavery is okay, and that eating shellfish is an abomination?
He's mocking Christianity.
Or we could go with Deuteronomy, which suggests stoning your child if he strays from the faith. Or should we just stick to the Sermon on the Mount, a passage that is so radical that it's doubtful that our own Defense Department would survive its application?
You can't make this up.
So before we get carried away, let's read our Bibles now. Folks haven't been reading their Bible. Which brings me to my second
Apparently
point.
He hadn't been
Democracy
reading.
demands that the religiously motivated translate their concerns into universal rather than religion-specific values. What do I mean by this? It requires that their proposals be subject to argument and amenable to reason. Now, I may be opposed to abortion for religious reasons, to take one example, but if I seek to pass a law banning the practice, I can't simply point to the teachings of my church or evoke God's will. I have to explain why abortion violates some principle that is accessible to people of all faiths, including those with no faith at all. Now, this is going to be difficult for some who believe in the inerrancy of the Bible, as many evangelicals do. But in a pluralistic society, we have no choice. Politics depends on our ability to persuade each other of common aims based on a common reality. It involves compromise, the art of what's possible. And at some fundamental level, religion doesn't allow for compromise. It's the art of the impossible. If God's spoken, then followers are expected to live up to God's edicts, regardless of the consequences. Now, to base one's own life on such uncompromising commitments may be sublime, but to base our policy making on such commitments would be a dangerous thing. And if you doubt that, let me just give you an example. We all know the story of Abraham and Isaac. Abraham's ordered by God to offer up his only son. Without argument, he takes Isaac up to the mountaintop, he binds them to the altar, raises his knife.
I can't take that person. I can't take him no more. This is what happens. This is what happens when the American people fall asleep at the wheel. I see that they're posting in the chat room. Sherry Orange says he's taking verse out of context and is talking to people that don't know better. Exactly. He's leading people astray, just like he did millions of Americans. And millions of Americans still agree with him. And matter of fact, he's trying to save and spare us of Donald Trump for 4 more years. This is their objective. This is their goal. President Trump has been protecting the border. President Trump has brought God back into the Oval Office. President Trump puts America first. So this didn't start This didn't start with just Trump becoming president. Folks, this was started before. This was the foundation that President Obama was talking about, that he wanted to change the foundation of the United States, the fundamental change. Fundamental means to change something from the ground, from the foundation, from the ground up. Look up the word. And if that's not enough, they've been fooling you with this virus. If that's not enough, look, there are going to be millions of Americans who are no longer going to be able to own and operate their own businesses. Yes, they may catch the virus. They have a 99%. If you catch the virus, they say, if you get the virus, they say, you have a 99% chance of full recovery. Some cases you won't even know that you had the virus in most cases. But if you're a business owner and it's taking you 40 years to build your business, and now you've been forced to shut down your business, you've got a 0% chance of recovering or reopening that business if you can't go there, if you can't open the doors, or if you've been given restrictions so oppressive that you are unable to get your customers to come back. Your business is over. You are done. But let's listen. Let's listen to what some of the know-it-alls, especially Governors Cuomo and Mayor de Blasio, let's listen to what they had to say. Let's listen to what de Blasio had to say early on about this virus.
The mayor of New York City, Mr. Bill de Blasio, joins us now. Mr. Mayor, good to see you. You all have done a good job communicating. The schools are still open here in New York City.
This is early.
What's your update this morning, and how are you looking at this? You've tried to remain calm, obviously, but also you've tried to keep this in some kind of context for this big city.
Willie, 8.6 million people here. We have 25 cases as of this morning, and we care deeply about each of those individuals, but against the backdrop of 8.6 million people. And for the vast majority of New Yorkers, life is going on pretty normally right now, and we want to encourage that. Look, we've got to look out for people here, especially those who are over 50 years old and have pre-existing conditions like lung disease, heart disease, cancer, diabetes. These are the folks we really, really need to be careful for. But if you're under 50 and you're healthy, which is most New Yorkers, there's very little threat here. This disease, even if you were to get it, basically acts like a common cold or flu. And transmission is not that easy. I think there's been a misperception that coronavirus hangs in the air waiting to catch you. No, it takes direct person-to-person contact, direct transmission of fluids. So what we're finding is we're giving New Yorkers a lot of guidance about how to be careful, wash your hands more, use hand sanitizer, cover your mouth when you cough and sneeze. Here's an easy one, Willie. If you're an older person, and especially if you have those pre-existing conditions,
you know how many people died
don't visit
because
folks
of this
who are sick. You want to see your grandchildren, they have the sniffles, that's not the time to see them. So what I'm finding is New Yorkers are pretty tough, and they're listening, and they're making adjustments. But our schools are running. And we've said, even if, God forbid, we found a case in a school, we're not shutting down all our schools. We're not even shutting down that school long term. We're going to go in, clean that school, isolate individuals who had that really direct contact, and then get up and
see, folks, this is what's happening. Listen to this person.
So when I go,
listen closely.
I've gone up to people and said, I need to get this piece of legislation passed. And they say, oh yeah, we just passed it. I said, yeah, we just passed it. I need the Senate to pass it, and then I need the president to sign it. And they said, well, we don't want to give the president a win.
We don't want to give the president a win. We don't want to give the president a win. These are people who represent you. These are people who are supposed to be there working for the American people. And this person is saying to a room full of Americans, at a time to where we're supposed to be uniting, at a time to where we're this pandemic, at a time to where things seem to be coming apart in Camelot. If you don't know what Camelot is, Camelot was a time during JFK's administration when the Cold War was happening, when Europe was under attack, when the space race started, when all the things were going on with communism. JFK said that Camelot, America, would be a light or a beacon to the rest of the world. Has that light, has that beacon been extinguished by political pandering? Has the light been put out by those who have no interest at all in rebuilding this country again? No, they're going to take advantage of this. Hillary Clinton has laughed about it. Joe Biden has joked about it. Nancy Pelosi has sneered about it. People like de Blasio, who's a communist, running the largest city in the country, and if not the most important city economically in the world, this moron is getting on and telling people, oh no, we're not going to close schools. Even if someone is sick, we're not going to close school. This is what he said early on, folks. You're not going to see this on CNN or MSNBC. They're not going to play that. You know what? If you're not careful, you're going to only get what they want you to have, and that's going to come through CNN, MSNBC, Time Magazine, the New York Times. That's where you're going to get look, that's where a lot of ill-informed Americans are getting their news today, is off of these other networks who have no interest in America being a beacon. They have no interest in they have no interest in Camelot. Their sole interest is in China. They want China to thrive. They're defending China. China is the people who have tried to destroy America for the last 50 years, dumping their currency, devaluing their currency, not allowing our businesses to have a market there in China, dumping cheap and goods into this country, and we're sitting over here eating it up and enjoying it as if China, for some reason, is a free market capitalist society. The people there don't even have a say-so in their media, and our media is siding with that country. Think about that for a moment. The Chinese people cannot freely speak out against their government. The Chinese people do not have a free media. And our media is siding with the Chinese government. Camelot has fallen, folks. And it's going to continue to fall unless you and I wake up out of this nightmare, get ourselves back to work, open our streets, open our parks. Look, those things don't belong to the government. The parks belong to us. The streets belong to us. And despite what Obama said, the businesses belong to us. Let's see what some of the Ruby says they want to be the world power. Exactly. Look, the Chinese, they have one game in mind: controlling the markets, controlling the economies, and they're doing a very good job. Guess where the money's coming from that you and I they're telling you that they're going to send you? That money's being borrowed from China. We're borrowing money from other countries. We shut down the world. We shut down literally, when you shut down America, you actually shut down the whole world. They didn't have to shut down anything else. When they shut down the United States, the rest of the world shut down as well. Our stock market was through the roof. Back in January, our jobs were through the roof for everyone that wanted to work. Our debt. Yes, we have debt, but our debt was getting under control because our free market capitalism was working. And because of a virus, and because of the bureaucracy, and because of a few doctors, these people in lab coats, who have their jobs, by the way, and by the way, many who work for government are still getting their paychecks, while you getting a handout, while you getting crumbs on the table. And as Carl Ellis Mitchell III says, Obama says you didn't do that, referring to the people who built this country. Obama says, well, you didn't do that. Well, I got news for you. Not only did we do it, but we're going to do it again. Camelot has fallen, folks. But that's not the end of the story. Not as long as President Trump sits in the Oval Office. As you just noticed, President Trump no longer is listening to Dr. Fauci. He should have kicked that little minuscule whatever to the curb way back when this started. He should have kicked them to the curb because why? The disease, the cure is worse than the disease. We have shut down the economy, and some of us or some of the businesses will never be able to come back again. Not because of poor management, not because of poor economy, not because they didn't have the resources, not because the customers were not coming. It's because of China. China did not warn the rest of the world about the virus. And I'm going to say it again. The people of China, they don't get to hear from their media only what their government wants them to hear. And folks, it's slowly becoming that way in the United States. The social media is getting very, very difficult to get the message out through social media. Very difficult. We're having it's a huge struggle to get the message out through social media. Why? They blocked. Last week, I didn't get to go live on Facebook. I have no idea why Facebook would not let me go live last week. The week before that, I had problems getting on YouTube. YouTube will block a lot of things that I put up. Or they'll give me a warning. Or I get some message saying the content is not appropriate. The content about what? America? Carl S. Mitchell says communism is a disease. He also says mission accomplished by the left. Exactly. It's sorry. Look, Camelot is broke. Camelot is in debt. Debt that your grandchildren will have to pay, and their children. Trillions of dollars. Nancy Pelosi wants to give $3 trillion more dollars. And by the way, if you have not heard, some of the PPP money, the payroll protection payment plan, an organization that I despise received $80 million from our money. And the PPP could also stand for Planned Parenthood in that regard, because Planned Parenthood was able to get $80 million of our money for payroll protection. President Trump, if you get this message or if you hear me at all, please make them give that money back. I don't want my money going to murdering babies. And as you just heard on the video earlier, if you didn't hear the video, go back and listen to this again. And if you hear the video of President Obama when he was saying that this is no longer a Christian nation, matter of fact, he said it blatantly. And then he mocked the Bible. He mocked scripture. He made fun of Leviticus. He made fun of Deuteronomy. By the way, he made fun of Deuteronomy. And the fact is, where do you think the 10 Commandments come from? So President Obama, one of the worst presidents of our lifetime, he started this nonsense with the Russian collusion. He's the one that planted that seed in the Oval Office. He and Biden, Susan Rice, they pulled Comey in. They pulled the intelligence department in. They concocted this idea that somehow General Flynn was cavorting with some Russian communist spy, diplomat, and that somehow the presidency the next president shouldn't know about it. They kept it from Trump. Think about it. Think about it for a minute. Ruby says, I heard administration is working on getting that money back. They better get it back. They better get it back. What in the world was Planned Parenthood getting $80 million from our money for payroll protection when they already get $500 million a year from you and I as taxpayers? If you didn't know that, you know it now. We give Planned Parenthood $500 million every year. Comes out of your tax dollars and my tax dollars to do nothing but murder babies. So President Obama, former President Obama, sir, you have not read the Bible. This is a Christian nation. It was founded on Christian values. The flags that we fly, that's nothing compared to what's going to happen if the American people do not get up and get out, stop listening to these bureaucrats. You act like a puppy. Some of y'all are acting like you're a puppy that's been told to sit and stay. So what did you do? You sit and you stayed. Now some of you are afraid to even come out into the sunshine. Carlos Mitchell says, preach. Yeah, I'm preaching about it. Of course, we're getting ready to come up on the end of the program, and I really appreciate all the comments that are happening on Facebook. And Ruby Ruffin says they're giving Planned Parenthood more money to kill. And, of course, Nasty Pelosi, they're not. No, look, these people live in luxury. Why? You know why millions of Americans, business owners, will not be able to reopen their businesses? Because of the bureaucracy. Because of the bureaucracy. Of course, Camelot was an idea. That idea has sort of faded. Now we have young people with their hands out instead of with getting their work boots on. We have grown-ups, adults, who are hooked on drugs, alcohol, and all sorts of lascivious means to cope with their lives because they've handed their lives over to the wicked and evil bureaucracy known as the government. President Trump went to drain the swamp. Well, the swamp is determined to not be drained. And if it means lying and cheating and making up things and putting it out there in the media and then the media capitulate, then that's what they're going to do, folks. You think it's bad now, you wait. You wait till November. If people don't get out and vote, if you don't get out and vote your conscience, and if you vote party over principles, then you're going to get exactly what's coming to you. And I tell you, you think this virus has been bad on you? You wait to when you can't buy and you can't sell and you can't go and you can't get anywhere unless you got the mark. And that mark, I ain't talking about the mark of the beast that the Bible talks about. I'm talking about the mark, the certificate that says you've had that vaccine, or that certificate that says that you are complying with the standard protocols of the CDC. It's coming. Of course, that is something for another day. I see that Ruby says, wow, that's right. It's coming, Ruby. We already win in California, Carlos Mitchell says. The left thrives on idolatry and addictions. That's right, Carl. They want you to gamble. They want you to drink. They want you to smoke. They want you to stay high. They want you to stay at home so they can continue to pillage this great nation and continue to take away your freedom without you even realizing what has happened. Of course, it's been a blessing to be on. I really appreciate all the comments. Sherry Orange says, get informed, use your brain. And that's true. You got to use what God has given you. You got to give God the glory, and we better get on our knees, and we better be in prayer. But I want to thank you. I want to thank everyone that has chimed in. I want to thank you for being a part of the show today. God bless you. God bless America, and peace.
You've been listening to Alfonso Ashworth, the Barry White of Podcast Radio. Go forth and share his message. I may be wrong, but I don't think so. Remember, no two people can ever occupy the same place at the same time. You were uniquely and wonderfully made. Born an original. Don't die a copy. God bless. Peace.